This is BBC Two. Now, making it is one thing, but making people see the light and buy it is another, as demonstrated in techno.
It's an all-year-round job, willows. We do the harvesting in the winter, from November till April, but we're busy all the year round, really. So it can be dangerous. I think every willow cutter cuts himself sometimes, you know, during his work, if you haven't cut very many willies.
Stan Derham cuts willows to make baskets of all kinds. Some even end up flying. Making a hot air balloon needs the skills of many people. Louise Handy's job is to make sure they all work together.
When I was at college in Bristol, the art department was the main site where they test the hot air balloons, which I didn't realise at the time. And I can remember being up on the top floor late one night doing a project, and a witch flew past the window, and I was quite surprised at that. Then found out there was a special shaped hot air balloon company in Bristol. But I never thought then I'd be making balloons now. There's so many jobs for each balloon, it would be very impractical for everyone to know everything about it. So the whole factory is split up into different groups.
Louise needs to be very organised.
This is my Bible. I do all my workings out. All the design sheets start off in here, clean sheets. I do lots of scribbles, work out where everything goes together, what colours everything's got to be, how many of each panel I need. So when they're working on it, you can keep a good track of what's going on.
Before the balloon can be made, it needs to be designed. Steve Wallace has designed flying pipes, flying snowmen, even flying witches. But he's just been set a new challenge. It's an energy-saving light bulb.
Philips have come up with this new light bulb, which they're trying to get everybody to be aware of. And they thought one of the best ways is to make a gigantic light bulb-shaped balloon. So somebody in the advertising department at Philips have made a drawing of the light bulb, and this is what they'd like to see flying.
Today, designers can make almost any shape fly. When air is heated, it becomes lighter and tries to rise up above the colder air surrounding it. Contained within a balloon, the only way it can do that is to lift the balloon and the load hanging under it, the basket.
Since the early days of balloons, customers' imaginations have run wild, and balloons have got more and more complex in their shape. But there are certain things that we can't make fly. For instance, if we tried to have the tubes as tall as this, they just wouldn't support themselves and they'd all go very floppy. So we've had to make some changes, like we've had to make the tubes slightly smaller.
Steve will have to plan every detail. Hundreds of fabric panels will have to be sewn together to make the light bulb shape. Balloons are made from nylon, a synthetic fabric that's both light and strong. But much of the fabric's strength comes from the way it's woven. Every few millimeters, thicker fibers stop rips and tears. A much more traditional material is used for balloon baskets.
My father started this business off here, and then it was handed down to 4 brothers, where we taken it on since. They go in green, and then you gotta boil solidly for 7 hours. And then they're ready for to be taken out to get the bark off. People living in the cottages around here, they used to peel the willows one at a time. Now all that's gone because we're done with them by machine.
Machines have also changed the way balloons are designed. Today, it's all done using computers.
As balloons have become more and more complex, the geometry of them has got more difficult to understand and more difficult to imagine what the final shape is going to look like. And this is one of the things that we use the computer to do, to help us to see what the finished balloon is going to look like. And the computer also helps us with the numerous calculations that we have to carry out on the balloons to make sure all the panels are going to fit together. Louise is the next link in the chain. She will take my computerised data and she will convert them into full-size patterns.
I take his disk from the computer and put it into our plotting machine. And the plotter, which is a very slow process, but one by one it does each pattern. Parts of the job, as with everything, become quite boring because it's a lot of mundane work. But each day you have to deal with different sets of problems. And that's what I enjoy, really, the challenge more than anything.
The fabric is cut out using the paper patterns as a guide. Every one of hundreds of panels must be labelled to show exactly where it goes. With this much material, it's essential to be very organised.
The two girls making Phillips at the moment are Valerie, who's here, and Betty, who sits over there. Karen, who organises everything, she's their section head, team leader.
We have quite a good laugh, us four. We're quite friendly, actually. We do get on well. Most of the time. I mean, sometimes everybody gets a bit grumpy, but we do get on well.
The reason they work together as a team is the balloons are fairly big, so the whole team works on one. That way the work is done a lot quicker, and because they're very big, it's heavy work, so you need more than one person to do each balloon.
Well, I used to work in a factory just making policemen's uniforms, and it was quite boring. And it's quite nice, really. It's the longest job I've ever kept.
All around the factory, other parts of the balloon are being prepared. Making giant stencils to put lettering on the balloon is easy when you know how. The Phillips balloon has reached the top floor of the factory. It's here that the art department will add the finishing touches.
So I've got to sew round them pins, what we just did. Then turn it all over, mark it out, cut the back out, and then sew it. Make it look as if it's a double seam.
So she's our mother of the art department, I think. We all go to her for advice, and she looks after us all.
I mean, I'd done machining years ago, like, you know, when in my younger days. It's a hell of a lot different from if you're making clothes and underwear. The amount of material you've got, you know? And what you've got to think of is, it's part of the balloon, like, you know? You've got people's lives in it. I don't want some poor fella going out and then coming straight back down, now do I? With a whoosh.
For strength, every seam is sewn with the fabric doubled over. By law, hot air balloons must meet the same safety standards as jet planes, so the joins between panels are also double stitched.
I think you've got to have a bit of pride in your work. It's the sort of thing you've got to take your time on, you can't rush it. Some of the balloons we've done does look nice, and you think to yourself, I had a hand in that, you know.
When I first started here, I think we were on number 2,000 or something, and we're now on 3,500, so we've done quite a few.
The light bulb balloon is almost finished, but it's missing one vital ingredient. After tea, Louise is expecting visitors.
The Philips people are in today, and they want to see how lights are going to be fitted in here, because they're going to use it for like night glows, things like that.
Internal lighting for this balloon, being as it's a light bulb, is very important to the customer.
And actually test it with
Philips have sent along 2 lighting experts.
We have never put lighting in a balloon before, so it was very important to get it right.
Flapping around at one end.
But if we put the lamps on the side here, then the light will go up here and we'll just go round, but it won't go round the corner, but it'll illuminate this surface. Just even it out a little bit. Oh, and the other thing we thought of is having 2 lamps in there. You'll have a ring.
It was important to understand how the lighting and the balloon would react together.
We'll have load tapes turned back around the ring.
For instance, we couldn't have a light bulb that would put out too much heat and melt the fabric. And equally, a light bulb that couldn't take the temperature that the balloon operates at wouldn't be acceptable.
So it's well away from the heat. All right, well, can we do anything else at the moment then, before you've got it to the point where we can test out the lamp? And we're not sure about the flow of these lamps, you see.
We can have half of this ready then by the end of this week, and then if we can arrange.
So basically we're going to have to leave it with you and Glenn to sort it out.
Go half the
Time for a test.
Right, let there be light. The size of these tubes are somewhere around 10 metres long, which is a very large area to light. What do you reckon? It glows quite nicely.
Is there going to be one in each tube?
Yeah, there's going to be one in each tube. I'm wondering whether we need one at the top as well. It's important to the customer that the balloon actually looks like the light bulb. It's very bright, unflickering light.
All right, is that still about centre?
Shining up quite well, isn't it? It's quite a warm light like they want. Well, I think I'm happy with that, I think.
Good.
What about you think?
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
The willow basket is all that remains to be made. Thicker canes will make up a framework. Soaking and steaming makes them flexible enough to bend. The basket needs to be able to absorb the shock of a hard landing. Willow is still the best material because it's so flexible. It's taken 3 months to design and sew the panels of the Philips balloon together. But it's now so huge, there's no way it can be tested at the factory. Louise and Steve have driven from Bristol to an empty shipyard in Liverpool. It's about the only place big enough.
Mind yourself, Luke. Well. You always get the heaviest side, don't you?
Most special shapes, or with the main body of a special shape, the way it's designed has worked out whether it will fly or not. But quite often when you have add-ons and things which are odd shapes, you don't really know until you've seen it inflated, and it doesn't always work.
Blowing the balloon up with cold air will allow them to check the shape without it taking off.
We're generally pretty confident that it'll fly. The things that cause doubt in the back of your mind are whether it's going to look quite as it's intended. We do as many calculations as we can to make us confident that everything is going to work. But at the end of the day, when you're standing with maybe up to 5,000 metres of fabric, it's very nerve-wracking. I've not had a failure yet, but I live in constant fear.
Yeah, it feels pretty good seeing it like this. It's always nice coming inside of them because they're so different to when you're working on them in the factory. It's like a little world in here, really, isn't it? It looks very, very much like the light bulb, which is always a nice sign because some of them are similar, but you know, this is spot on, really. Looking forward to see it lit up.
That's Steve's job.
The main thing about these lights is if you touch them, you trash them.
Right.
So never use bare fingers, and they're 50 quid a throw.
Right.
So be careful with them.
He hasn't designed the lights, Phillips have done his, but he has to make sure they're all installed, working properly, where they should be, and pass on all the information to the crew, because they're the ones who are going to have to use them. So, pressure's on him, really.
It takes a lot longer than they expected. 3 hours later, the lights still aren't ready. Making anything for the first time is never easy, but part of doing a job professionally is coping with unexpected problems.
We've been here about 5 hours. We thought it would take us a little while to put the lights in, but it's taken a bit longer. We're having a few problems with the cables, which we're trying to alter. I've been inside the balloon for over an hour and I'm freezing, and we still don't know if it's going to work.
Because it would just put too much strain on it. Okay.
Then if they go, Mark's going to try and get an engineer to come out Monday morning at 5 o'clock.
All we need is about that much more cable and it will be fine.
But as night falls, they find a way to reroute the cables. They're ready for the final test.
This is it. This is what we were trying to get it to look like, and it's worked. At last. Well, I'm pretty pleased with it. I think the girls have done a good job sewing it.
There's not too many loose threads up there. And I think it looks pretty close to what it should look like.
If you'd like